today's show is going to be time is money, and we're going to go through batching 101. And we're going to touch on how we like to batch with Perfectly Clear in Lightroom and in Photoshop. So for those people who are new to the software, you're probably by the end of it going to be pretty blown away at understanding how literally time is money. It speeds up your processing, but in a good way. There's too many times we get sort of roped into plugins and presets and all this other stuff, and we have great intentions of using everything, but it's stuff that's just it removes itself from the purity of a great photograph, and you almost start to over process it. So I was speaking with a fellow yesterday about some fantastic stuff that's coming up, this amazing photo deal. There's like $3,000 worth of stuff that's going to be coming up for $99 in June. I was speaking with him, and he said that one gentleman graciously gave a bunch of presets, and he gave over 400 presets. Well, I have presets that I've had from another fellow within the industry for a number of years, and I've purchased other ones, and you know what? I still keep going back to just a really great exposed and clean photograph. So today we're going to show you how, if you have a large workflow, and how you want to maximize doing this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start out by creating a new catalog in my Lightroom. And what I'm going to do is I've chosen a job to really show you how quickly this stuff can be done. We're going to try and cut this into around a 35 to 40-minute webinar today, because that's all the time that we're really going to need. I am here and willing to carry on if we have a lot of questions, but we're going to get the ball rolling, and I'm going to create my new catalog. Now, this job was shot in 2014, and what it was a elementary school, believe it or not. And it's the cool part. The cool part is that we have always looked for a way to process, large numbers of files quickly, and for it to do a very good job. So we're going to call this Rock City 2014 cat. And I like to call a little bit of a tidbit. I'll sort of walk you through everything that I do with my process. And whenever I create anything, there's my folders. It's a Rock City Elementary fall portraits, the black and white, the colors, the raws. I keep everything on an external backup drive. I don't keep it really anything, as much as my desktop's a bit messy today. I was working on a bunch of stuff yesterday, so lots of screenshots, lots of stuff going on. But within that, I call it a cat, just because I know that it's a catalog. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and create this catalog. Now, if there's an opportunity, let me know if you're a first-time user, second-time user, totally new to this, experienced user, what type of photography you do online today. Send me through in your little question tab of your webinar. I like the webinars to be more interactive. It helps us answer everybody's questions and get everybody rolling. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and import these images. Now, it's important, again, keep everything organized really, really well. So what I'm going to do is come into my 2014. Where are we here? Bam, we're in Dropbox. We don't want that. We want our 2014, 2015. There's my external hard drive. We're going to go to 2014. We're going to cruise down to Rock City, and stuff rolls really, really quick. I mean, I don't have the newest computer out on the block, but you know what? This stuff loads really, really quick anyways. So we're just going to go ahead and import all this. Now, what we're going to do is do a real quick call of the images, and I'll show you how fast you can actually work with everything in here, working within Lightroom and then exporting. So we're going to take this whole job today and we're going to move it in the Lightroom. We're then going to process it in a bulk manner for school photos. Now, kids, as you can see, my buddy Lucas Johnson here, funny kid, his favorite thing is wrestlers. So whenever I take his school photos, him and I become pretty good friends, but he's always got the latest poses for me. So yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of images, but we're going to rip through these pretty quick. So I know that I've got a really nice image, and I've already picked through these. So where's Leonardo? There he is. And what I'm going to do is cruise through. I'm going to make these proofs a little bit bigger, just the thumbnails, so that I can rip through them quickly. So once you call all your images, she smiled over here. I know this one was cute here. She was good there. This kid smiled a bit here. This girl smiled here. And I can see where we went through, there was some edits. So as I see down on my bottom window now, I've already done these. So I know which ones I'm realistically going to pick. So I'm just going to fly through here. Just shot this kid. He's grown up a lot, that's for sure. So you get to know your kids, you know your subjects whenever you're working within schools. We've just started doing a lot of school stuff, and I tell you, it's a lot of fun. It's just something different about it. It is something that I never thought that I'd really enjoy. Some people might say, well, you know what, but you can't get really creative. Well, I'll tell you, you can get really creative. There's little Lexi. I know that you can get creative because this is just a standard Lexi. This is a, what is this? That's a library. And we are in there photographing, and it's working out really, really well for us. We just put hair light, main light, backlight, and the parents are loving it. Parents are buying lots of them because we're doing just something different, meaning that we're just not doing the same old, same old. So let's get this little cutie in here, and that girl there, and then there's the whole family. We're going to throw this here, Andrea's little girl. So you can see here that we're really kind of cruising through. We have, where's Zachary? There he is, and this kid we're going to leave there. So I've picked through all my images, okay? Now, if this was a job, let's say, you know, we've been on air for a little bit of time, not a whole lot of time, you know, 7, 8 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you exactly how we're going to go through this. So I've picked how many pictures here today? I've picked 29 images. This girl, I don't need 2 of her, so I'm going to unpick her. And I've got no duplicates in here, I hope. If I do, I'm sorry. But there we go. So I have 29 people. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to pick my first subject. So I'm going to go in. This little girl's name's Kira. Now, I can come in my develop module, so I can still stay in Lightroom, and I can still do a couple tweaks if I want to. So I might bring some of the whites, some of the highlights down just to do something like that. And I can also come in and I can put my vignette on. So I do that with the schools right away because it makes it nice and easy. So I'm going to put a vignette on it. So we want to see the before and see the after, right? Looks nice. It's got a little bit of a mood to it. So I'm fine with that. Now, this is, to me, where the rubber hits the road. This is where we really dive in. And I tell you, like I say, a full hour webinar on batching can be really overwhelming, but we're going to simplify it today. And again, any questions, please stop us. So I've gone ahead, created my catalog. We've opened it up. We've imported our images. We've picked our images. We've now brought down the whites. We've put a vignette on the images. Now I'm doing this. This is where I really see the power of Perfectly Clear because the background is the same. The photos are the same, right? I do this in weddings, and I just shot one up on the beach, and I'll know that I'll have 10 or 12 images with one look in one area that are really pretty. But I just don't know what the client's going to want, or maybe they're family photos. And the family photos from the wedding, there's probably 30 to 40 family photos. Well, do I want to go ahead and edit every one? No, I want to create a preset. Time is money. So create a preset, export them out using that preset, and move on to the next bunch. You can be editing in Lightroom and moving through as your machine is pushing stuff out for you. So I know whenever I speak at trade shows and at conferences or WPPI or down in New York last year, first thing whenever you say, what's one thing that you wish that you could have more of? And every photographer seems to say time away from the computer. And whenever we talk about it, everybody nods their head like they're a boat bobbing in the ocean. They're like, definitely, I wish I had a lot more time. So this is where I'm going to show you. I'm going to put a bit of a timeline on this, and I'm going to roll through this. So I'm at about 15 minutes and about 4 seconds here. So I'm going to start at 15 minutes. And what I'm going to do is show you here. So we're at 15 minutes now. Pen tablet, I'm in my develop module. And what I want to do is come in here and I want to right click and I want to edit in, and I'm going to go Perfectly Clear version 2.0. Now, the drop down menu, I'm going to walk you through this, talk you through it, show you how to do it, and I'm timing myself to show you how quickly we can export 28 photos and get great production on them and be in and out in no time. So the file format is a TIFF. I can change it through JPEG or PSD. I'm going to keep it there. Everything I'm rolling is in Adobe 98. I'm going to keep it there, 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 there. And I'm going to keep it. Now, when you're shooting with RAWs, it only allows you to edit a copy with your Lightroom adjustments, which is fine because I have made the adjustments in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to start this up. Now, what I should have done, I just need to back up. What I should have done is applied my vignette to everything across the board because Perfectly Clear doesn't do the vignette. But what I can do is once I create this preset, I'll come back, and before I export everything out using it, I will show you how we do that. Now, a little bit about the Perfectly Clear window. Pretty straightforward. We've got our view options up in the top right, our comparison side by side, our slider. Our slider shows us what it's already doing to the image, and horizontal and vertical change on that. I like the vertical because I quickly go back and forth over the faces. Now I can already see it's popped up the eyes, it's removed some of the dark circles, it's really brought that exposure into exactly where it needs to be. I see it's made some changes to the scarf here, and I'm going to say that that's face slimming. Now this little girl doesn't need her face slimmed. But there it is. Like, that is amazing. I can come in under the dark circles and I can remove more of those if I want. And what I'll do, let me just turn that on and turn that off. Okay, so this is an algorithm. The algorithm is reading ethnicity, gender, skin tone, color. It's reading everything about the image. As we go through all these presets, now I just chose one. Or sorry, the software chose one. I can come in and pick some of the preset ones and you can see exactly what happens. Fix the darks, fix the noises, fix the tint, landscapes. But I'm going to go in because I'm working with kids, beautify. And if I look at it, it's done a beautiful job already. So what I'm going to do is come in, pop that dark circle up just a little bit more. Now eye enhance looks great, teeth whitening. I could maybe bring that up more, but the problem is I don't want to go too far because to me, editing an artwork is about 20%. Buddy and I really talk about that quite a bit. She looks natural, she looks clean, looks perfect, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna save this. Now by doing that, you look at it and you're gonna go, I'm gonna hit save, but don't jump the gun. I've gone in and made some changes to that original preset of beautify, which you can do. So you hit beautify if that's what you like, and then you wanna make some tweaks, hit adjustment and do that. I've made some changes. Create, I'm gonna call this Rock City, because that's what we're working on today. And I can come in here and say simple, clean for younger school kids. So I'll show you what I'm going to do is hit OK. And now I'm going to hit save. And the save is going to create this down across the process bar here. It's going to bring my second copy into my Lightroom. If anybody's getting lost, please, please let me know because I'm probably going through this quick because I've done it a few times. So send me through a message if you are. Now what I want to do is I'm going to come into my Lightroom here and I'm just going to cruise through my two photos. I'm just waiting for my preview to load up. Here we go. So what I do is once I get both previews is I make sure I have the right one, and it's the unedited one, believe it or not. I'll go to the unedited one because I don't want to re-edit. So while we're waiting for that preview to cruise through, I just have one question. John has one. Yes. Can you show the save again? So John, I just want to make sure, save the preset that we've created. Is that what we're looking for? You just let me know and we will definitely walk through that process again. I totally don't mind. So I'm going to come in here and I can see this is the edited one. This is the unedited one. So I'm going to come in and take the edit and I'm going to unpick it, which is going to remove it from my folder. But what I'm going to do before I cruise through here is I'm going to select all these by holding down Shift and I'm going to hit sync. I'm going to check none because what I want to do is I want to come into my check none, and I just want to do lens correction because what I'm doing is just my lens vignetting, okay? So I'm just going to come in here, and what it's going to do is it's going to add by hitting sync, Synchronize. Is everybody getting a nice little vignette? Oh, let me just go through here. Post-crop vignetting. Yes. Sync. I'm just going to check them all, actually, just because I can today. There we go. Everybody's getting a nice vignette. So, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you just one more time, because this is, again, I'm going to use the comment. This is where the rubber hits the road, but this is where time is money. It's kind of funny. I'm staring at that right in my face. So now that I have this photo, okay, we're going to come in. We're going to right click. You're going to edit in perfectly clear. So pick any photo, okay? We could pick this guy. Let's pick this kid. What's going on with him here? Bump him up, he's got his vignette. So I'm gonna take this kid, edit in, perfectly clear, so right click. It's gonna then open up the export window. I'm just gonna change it here. Here, I'll even do JPEGs just because it's a webinar, but however you wanna work with that, that's your control panel. You're gonna edit this. Now, what I want to know while this is processing here, we've got a few people that are chiming in. 29 photos. Give me a time frame on how long, if you were to go in and edit these kids, okay, how long would it take you to do that? I just want to know. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say who you are. I just want to know, how long would it take? Look at that. That's killer. How long would it take you? Anybody out there willing to throw a number? You have 29 kids. You want to brighten up the exposure, check in the eyes, stuff like that. So we have one person here, about 45 minutes without presets. Pretty quick, very quick at artwork if we're going to be doing that. So I'm going to show you here. So I'm just going to come in. So everything looks good, right? I'm going to go create, and I'm going to call this Rock City 2. Okay, so this is where John, this is where we want to see. You've come in, you've created a preset. Let's go to beautify. I see his eyes are popped up a bit more by doing that. He looks a little bit fake, like his eyes. He's got some makeup on a little bit maybe. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to watch the eye enhance. I'm just going to tone down a hair, and the teeth whitening I just want to tone down. But you know what? The kid looks clean. He looks really clean. So now that I've made my adjustments, where you want to create it is hit the create button right at the bottom. Create your own user presets using all of the current correction settings. Give me a thumbs up if you've got this. So I'm going to hit create, and we're going to call this Rock City 2 because we've already got a Rock City in there. Cool. Now in the description, everybody, we're going to come in here, clean school edit for faces, and I'm going to call it elementary kids, because secondary kids I might do a little bit more touch-ups, and I'm going to hit OK. Now that is done. Okay, so if I go into the presets and look, I have all these are the details. So those are ones above the line. So paddles out of the water are theirs. The paddles in the water that are doing all the work for my stuff that I want, like you can see, batching 101, freedom 55, headshots, Rock City. There's Rock City 2. Okay, so we know that it's been saved in there. I can come in and I can hit save. Now this is where it's going to save this photo of this kid back into my file. But remember, I'm going to remove that second one, right? So I have two in here. So I'm going to take the first one, and there he is, and there's a second one. So the first one I'm going to unpick, because what I'm going to do now, we've been at this for 9 minutes. Okay, we've done 2 presets. We've walked John through understanding, just making sure, which is perfect, how to create that. I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to export them. That's all I'm doing. Export to, this is where we want to pay attention. Export to. I often send them out to my hard drive, which is where we would just come in and do all of our other stuff, right? We've got everything happening in here. Today, we're going to go export Perfectly Clear version 2.0. Follow your boxed windows. This is where it's really going to make a difference in keeping stuff clean and folder ready and client ready. So user presets, okay? System presets are the ones that we saw here before, the ones that are already pre-built for us. I'm going to go to user presets. I'm going to go down, pick my Rock City 2. Now, it tells me right below it that it's a clean school edit for faces for elementary kids. Now, this little button right here, the hide the perfectly clear window. This, if you check it, it's going to hide it. It's going to edit every face. You're going to go warm up your coffee. You're going to come back. Your photos are all going to be done, and you're going to open up your folder, and you're just going to scroll through them to double check that they look really nice. Once you get comfortable, now I get it, you're going to not trust it for the first couple times. You're going to go, well, I don't know. But I'm telling you, this software hits over, Jeff was telling me from Perfectly Clear, this touches over 3 million prints a day in the US alone. So for those people that are a little unsure about how strong and powerful a software can be, now if you over edit and want to do that, I would say to unclick this, because what's going to happen is your preset window is going to open up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like with the preset window open first. So Perfectly Clear is going to let me double proof these, just if you're a little bit nervous and it's your first time seeing batching. I'm going to come down and put it into a specific folder. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to call it webinar JPEGs, because I already have a JPEGs folder. I'm going to create that. I'm going to choose that. I'm going to call this Rock City. I'm going to call it webinar. It's a little bit of a long name, but we just want to keep everything organized. I'm going to start with number 1. Now, I always go custom name and sequence, because when your client gets their folders, it looks really nice. I'm going to leave it on Pro Photo, JPEG, quality 100. I don't need to resize those. We're going to push them out at full 72 DPI, so it's probably, I don't know, 50 inches big or whatnot. Again, these are getting artworked and sending off to the school. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit export. So just to double check, you want to export using the Perfectly Clear version 2.0. I'm a user, my preset, Rock City 2, put it in the folder, name it, check everything else. I'm going to export this. So during that time, I mean, this has been about 13 minutes, and we've created 2 presets. We're walking you through this. Now I'm going to do this again. Once I get through this, I'm going to go through it with the window closed. So I'm going to start from scratch, do another preset on another kid's face, do this whole job over again. And we have an awesome person online opting up for 45 minutes without presets, which is very quick, by the way. 28 photos in 45 minutes. I fancy a bit of a quick artwork person, and I have a few actions that help me do eyes and teeth and whatnot. You know what? 45 minutes is fair. So, you know, we might be very, very close or very a little bit under that, but that is a really good time. We always charge a processing fee in our studio. Commercially, we're $165 an hour, and then we always do the $65 an hour processing fee. When I started many years ago, we had the, we always charged for film. So why would we not charge for our artwork time? Some people feel a little bit bad for it, but don't be. Watching people work in Photoshop and Lightroom, how much time they spend saying, oh, well, I can just do that. I have a large influx of wedding clients this year that have contacted us and saying, we'd like all the raw files. And our first answer is no. And of course, we never hear back from them, but that's okay. We have no problem selling negatives, definitely. We have no problem with artwork negatives being sold or being used. But the biggest problem is having a little bit of control in the fact that these people, yeah, they want the raw files and they just want to try and process it themselves because they've got Picasa or something that's on their something that came on their computer when they purchased it from Best Buy or Amazon. So something that we're not really into. So what it's doing right now is perfectly clear, is just reading everything, processing a lot of stuff, preparing a lot of previews for me. So what I've done is, I'm just going to double check here, processing with perfectly clear, and I'm just going to see what's going to happen. We're almost there. There we go. So previews are ready to go, 28 previews. So I'm just going to snap over these faces very, very quickly. You can see I'm happy with Kira. I'm going to go to the next kid, and down on the bottom right here, you're going to see that it's going to tell me that it's loading. So what's going on? We've got Lucas, my man. There he is. Not much change to that handsome little boy, but I can sure see his eyes sparkle. Okay, I'm going to go to the third kid. Now this is if you're unsure. This is one of those things that if you're totally unsure, there's Leonardo, my buddy. Leonardo, you know what? Sure, I could come in and I can tweak up his like dark circles under his eyes a little bit if I wanted to come in here. I could pop him up just a little bit more. But you know what? Leonardo is Leonardo. He looks like that all the time. So I'm a 20% person where if it looks fake, parents are going to tell. This little girl, Lucas's little sister, pretty little girl, beautiful eyes. Again, I love the detail that it does. So I'm cruising through this. It's bringing up my exposure. It's smoothing out my skin, blemish removal, and dark circles. Now here we go. It's got a whole family. So check it out. It's taken everybody's face, everybody's eyes, everybody's little dark circles under their eyes. There we go. I challenge anybody on that one. That one there was done nice and quick. I'm going to go to the next one. So you can see how what it's doing is just touching up. I see a little bit of change just in the cheek. So the dark circles, sure, I can lower that. Now my Rock City 2 preset wasn't as strong as some of these that I'm moving around. So you can see how, being in control. Now here's a boy, right? His eyes popped, his details in his eyes. So I'm cruising through here. And this is if I want to take control of every single file. So you can see, bringing the exposure up. I didn't touch anything in Lightroom. The algorithm of the studio, of the software, is already picking everything. Square photo. So we have a really good question, actually. Let me just cruise through here. Here's one of Liam. This is my little nephew, little guy. Funny, funny, funny. Wish you made a funny face for me. So we did have a question, which is awesome. John, thank you. We've got, would you reframe some of the photos? So would I reframe them at this point? No, because what it is working within a school. If I take this, which is a 4:6 ratio, and make that into a 5:7 or an 8:10, it's actually going to crop off quite a bit of the top and quite a bit of the bottom. So when we load it up to the back end for online sales, people can pick an 8:10. Now, if it was something that I was working with headshots for an actor or for a business, I would absolutely go through and crop. When I'm shooting in a studio, and I use this software a lot when I'm in a studio setting, because everything is the same. Whether if I have 20 or 30 headshots, everything's the same. I have a lady today that's coming in for a real estate company from 460 Realty here, and I tell you, she's going to come in. I'm going to shoot maybe 10 to 12 photos. I'm going to give her 4 to 5 pics. I'm going to export them, edit them, put my watermark on them, get them up to her in about 20 minutes from her leaving. She's going to pick her top 2, and I'll just literally export them again, but they love to be able to pick. So I wouldn't reframe them for the fact that I know that my job is a school. Also, your question, does Perfectly Clear work with panos and square photos? Absolutely. Perfectly Clear will work with any image. It will load anything up. So hopefully we've answered that for you. I'm just going to cruise through here. So you can see what it's doing, and it's picking, really sharpening up the eyes, bringing in the nice exposures. Like, look how cute his eyes are. brings up his catch lights, brings up everything, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in here and I'm just gonna, you know what, I'm happy and I'm just gonna hit save all because I've checked 11 out of them, and I know because I've done this for quite a while, is I'm super happy with it. I don't need to go ahead and worry about anything else, okay? So what's going to happen is now these are going to save through. I'm going to come in here, and what we're also going to talk about is moving in and doing it in Photoshop. Now, if you're comfortable in Lightroom, I love using Lightroom. I was a little bit afraid of it for a long time and used it just as a picking tool. And then, believe it or not, it probably would have taken me 2 hours because I would have opened up every file in Photoshop, and then the only thing I used Lightroom for was literally picking a job. I used to go and write down years ago when we first started digital after our film days, is we would write down every number on a piece of paper of the wedding, and then we would go back and pick them. And it was like a friend of mine said, man, you got to embrace software. And I just didn't want to because I came from my medium format, transparency, and film days. So I was just being completely stubborn. So Lightroom, love it. Some people love Bridge. I just haven't explored with it, so I can't answer that for you. Perfectly Clear plugin is available for Photoshop and for Lightroom. Now, for those people who are just thinking about getting this while this is processing here, I'll let you know. Is that if you use a promo code because you need to purchase this software, Perfectly Clear has provided us one where it's just concept photo. So you just use that at the checkout and it'll save you 10% off. And if you have any questions, I mean, the tutorials, the webinars, I know there's one coming up here. I think Keith Dixon, I was looking today, he's got one on architecture. I do a lot of architecture, and I tell you, I'm going to log in for that. So if you've got a little bit of time, I think it's on the 21st. It's in a couple days. So definitely check it out. It is something that definitely will be awesome. So we're almost done cruising through here. Now, if there's any questions while we're just waiting for this stuff to finish processing, definitely fly at it. Let me know. Sky's the limit with this stuff. If you have a bunch of beautiful scenics because you're out, or landscapes or whatnot because you've been out, we're planning on going to the Zion National Park in Death Valley hopefully this summer. My wife and I on a honeymoon road trip for 10 days. We're leaving from Vancouver, BC, Canada, and driving down the Oregon coast and hitting in through Utah and stuff. Hopefully it's going to be an awesome trip. We're just talked about it yesterday. So definitely going to be some beautiful stuff. I'm looking forward to artworking it with Perfectly Clear for a lot of their landscape stuff. So what I'm going to do now that it's completed, I'm just going to come into my hard drive and I'm going to go to 2014. We're going to go to Rock City School. We're just going to double check. There's the webinar JPEG. So here's everything. Rock City webinar. Everything's been done. Now we finished, I think, on this little guy here. Yeah, we finished in on him, number 11. So if I just want to double check everybody, and it's just going to load up here nice and sharp. His eyes look great, nice and sharp, nice skin, eyes look good. Everybody looks great. So you can see I didn't even look at these last few kids. Again, double eyes, double the kids. There we go. If I just want to double check, everybody looks great. These look better than any school photo that my daughter gets or my older kids. So out of 3 girls, you figured that they'd learn how to smile with their dad as a photographer, but for some reason we always get the awkward stuff back. So now I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now the simple part here is that if you wanted to go ahead and export that without looking at it and without checking, you do the same thing, but you hit hide Perfectly Clear and you hit export and it's done. Now I'm going to say, what is that? At 15 minutes we started. So yes, it's been 25 minutes and I challenged this on time, but 25 minutes, we've done a webinar part, we've walked through it, we've created 2 presets, gone back, shown John how to resave it just to make sure, which is awesome. Thank you for throwing that in there. And we've exported them. We've picked 11 of the photos. We've gone through and we've pushed them out the door. So if I were to go ahead And let's say I've created my one preset, and now I've done absolutely everything that I need to do. And I'm going to do this just for kicks here. Webinar JPEGs 2, because this is what I'm doing. So we've gone ahead and created our preset. We already know that it's in there. That only takes a couple minutes, and we are at 40 minutes and 40 seconds, and I'm just going to hit export. So now what's going to happen is this is going to process with perfectly clear, and we can go on to do other things. You can then start to do some invoicing. You can start taking care of some emails. You can come in and you can check out in your top corners and check out all your social feeds and all your fancy stuff and a whole bunch of stuff coming through, and you're good to go. So in the top window, you're going to see that it's processing with perfectly clear. So what's going to happen is, again, it's going to read all the algorithms, it's going to push everything out the door, and it's going to move it into our file. Now, for those people that are, again, a little unsure about it, we're always 20%, right? We don't like to go into our images too deep, but we do want to get stuff dialed in so that it looks realistic. If there's something that I really, really need to go back into later on, then I can do that. If there's something, again, like John had asked, could I reframe? Absolutely, you can reframe. You can go in and create, say, with the last photo shoot that we just did, we do fall photos for the schools, and now we're offering to go in and do the spring. Nice sunny day, we find a shaded area, set up maybe a little backlight if we need to, but really just a nice reflector. And if my assistant's on the ball that day, had enough coffee, we can kick a little bit of hair light in just with a simple reflector. There's a couple schools where there's really nice natural shadow with good open sky reflection into their faces. So what we can do there is we just go out, lean up against a tree, keep it real shallow, real limited, shooting it like f4 with our 70 to 200 stand back, zoom in, so it compresses that background beautifully, and we have an opportunity. So we would create 2 presets for that. We would take the first, say, 20 kids that were the new kids. We would then photograph them, shoot their photos, let's say, and we would export them. We would create a second one, and we would do it for the outside, and we would make sure that they look nice and warm, that there's not shooting into a lot of green can give you a lot of blue kickback. So we wouldn't necessarily, we would want to warm up the file, make everything look really natural so that when the parents see it, it's done once. Now, the other cool part is that if I wanted to go ahead and make this black and white, I would then come into my, let's say I'm in here now, and I'm going to go to, here's some of my favorites. Do I actually have a black and white? What's in here? There it is. So this is my black and white. Look at that, black and white, tasty. So what I would do from there is I would sync everything. So I would come in, Control A, and then I would sync it and come in here, synchronize, and we can make everything black and white. So from there, I like to just sort of double check, make sure that the kids look all nice and whatnot. If I need to change some of the contrast quickly, I can do that. But what I know is that if I then go ahead and export these, so that I'm not batching something through Photoshop, I would definitely come in and I would make this in black and white, and then I would export it again with my preset of the Rock City 2. So if you provide your client with an option of color and black and white, then this is a fantastic opportunity where you can go ahead and take these files and run them through twice. So literally within a matter of minutes, we can do a color export. I switch them to black and white, check them over quickly while Perfectly Clear is processing the first batch, because I hide the window, I trust Perfectly Clear, and then I select them all again and I push them out the door again. So just a little bit of a, sort of workflow in which we've been using for Perfectly Clear whenever we're doing, school stuff or headshots. You know, we just want to try and make sure that we're maximizing our time. So this is pretty much just about done here. Export with perfectly clear, completed successfully. So now I was pushing out, you know, full-size TIFFs, or sorry, JPEGs, but you know, we're shooting with a 5D Mark III, so real high-res files, obviously. So that's it. So so that took about 4 minutes. So for those people that are challenging the 45-minute mark, we just took 40 minutes off your workflow and gave you 40 more minutes to go out and enjoy your friends and family. So any questions on Lightroom before I kick over for 15 minutes and show you how you do this in Photoshop? Let me know. We've got a couple people chiming in, so I'm just going to close out of Photoshop, or sorry, Lightroom, and cruise over to Photoshop, but I'm just going to wait 1 sec. If we have anybody in need of knowing anything, definitely let me know, and then I can help you out. So I think we are good. Okay, no questions. Awesome. I guess I'm doing my job. So we're going to close out of there. We're going to open up Photoshop. Now, what I want to do here is, once we get the ball rolling, is I'm going to take the same file. You know what? Why don't we do something different here? Get out of here, because we've seen that. We're going to go to the hard drive, and we did some photos for Freedom 55. Now, I know that I have a preset for this, but that's okay. Freedom 55. And I'm going to come in here and hit up my proofs. These have the proofs across them. These have been retouched. Okay, let me get out of here. And I'm going to open up a different folder. We're going to come down in here to, where's my Rock City? Let me come back in here. We're going to go in here, because what I want to do is go to headshots, come into the JPEGs, come out of here. I use this for a lot of production stuff, so that if I need to do anything, say for like a portfolio, you know, if I have some clients coming in and I need to create a bit of a slideshow, and I just want to touch everything up and make everything look really, really nice, you know, prior to sort of rolling through it. We have an amazing comment here. This John guy's firing him at us. Thank you, John. He has asked, that's amazing. Yeah, so 4 minutes, and honestly, 20%. Just touch them up nicely. Anything better than Walmart, or anything better than an iPhone or an Android photo, you're going to blow people's minds. So I'm a firm believer of, you know, just keeping stuff really, really clean. Okay, so yeah, this is amazing software. And I tell you, my computer was built in late 09. I'm on an i7-27, and it is not fast at all. This thing I'm really frustrated with, believe it or not. We just recently purchased one of the new MacBook Pros with the 512 SSD drive. I can edit 100 architecture photos for real estate, and I've done, what did we do? We shot 3 houses. I loaded 3 houses, and they're both between 70 and 90 photos each. Loaded them, the RAWs, into their each folders, created catalogs in Lightroom, and in 15 minutes, I had all 3 jobs done. So the speed of your system is huge. Like, that new solid state drive on that MacBook Pro flies. So yes, it is amazing. He also said, would you use presets for various skin colors? Now, the cool part about Perfectly Clear is on the skin, the algorithm reads ethnicity, skin colors, skin textures. If you have somebody with darker complexion, it's going to pick that for you. So you can tweak it and you can control it in there, but the way that this system was built was basically the massive studios or photo labs. Let's just use Walmart, but I know that well, let's use somebody like, say, Bay Photo. I don't know what they use, but let's say Bay Photo. When you see that like little check mark where it's like says, "Hey, do you want us to retouch it? Do you want us to adjust your photo? It's going to cost you X amount of cents, but do you want that?" This is a type of software that they use. So it's something that it's already been proven in the large, like I'm telling you, Jeff said this software hits over 3 million prints a day. That is amazing. So to hit 3 million prints a day, it must be doing something right. But written into the algorithm for ethnicity, gender, skin tone, complexion, skin colors, depth of shadows, like the contrast, it's reading so much. But the beautiful part is with those presets that it gives you, it nails it. I'm going to say, 90% of the time. I do go into the adjustments and tone down the eyes and tone down the skin sometimes. And it looks amazing. I did some work with some First Nations folks in BC here, some Aboriginals, and what I think it did is it took the skin, beautiful, beautiful warm skin, and it kind of over softened it a bit, but that's okay because in my preset, I just toned it down. So, and then I just exported everybody at the same and they look great. So definitely you can use different presets on skin tones, but you want to find something if you're definitely in a workflow. If you have maybe 20 people with a little bit lighter skin and 20 people that have been out in the sun and 20 other with different ethnicity, I think you certainly want to try and work with that. But for me, if I'm working, say, in a wedding or in a portrait session where I know everybody has various to the close the same skin tone, I would just push them out all at the same. And if you're unsure, then I would just unclick the hide the window for perfectly clear, and you can cruise through those one by one, and you can actually, again, double check your work before you move on to the next one. So John, thank you again. Okay, I got to do this here. I only got a couple minutes, so I'm going to open up Anna and Lucas. So the thing to do is if you want to, God, why am I getting all these photos that have already been edited? Jeepers. Airport 1, has Lucy been edited? This is one of my, there we go. Lucy has not been edited. This is one of the board of directors at our airport. We do their annual report photos, so there she is. Now, this is about creating an action. So for those people who are unsure about Photoshop actions, this is pretty straightforward. Okay, what I got here is I got Lucy ready to roll, and I'm going to open up my little action. Here's my little action pane on the right hand side. Now you can see, let me get rid of these. I'm in my perfectly clear folder. Okay, I'm going to create a new one, and I'm just going to call this airport. We're going to call this airport. And the set is under the perfectly clear set, and I'm not going to put any hotkey. If I found something that I thought was really great, okay, I could easily put a hotkey, so F1 or anything like that. If I wanted to go, what could I do here? Maybe F8. Could I do that? Function F8, Command. Let's do that. Let's go Command F8. I don't want Shift. I don't want Shift. Well, I'm going to have to because I obviously have one there. Command F9. Okay, so Command F9 is going to be my airport. I'm a big shortcut freak just because I want to, and I don't know very many. But what I'm going to do is now I'm recording. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go Filter, and I'm going to come down to Athentech, perfectly clear, version 2.0. It's going to open up my window, and now I'm going to create something like, I don't know about you, but that's pretty amazing. She does have quite a bit of shine. I'm going to bring the smooth down, the blemish remover down, bring the shine up a bit, and I just want to watch those dark circles. I don't want to make her look too fake. Again, clean her up, make her look really nice. Done. I'm going to hit OK. And watch, I'm going to hit stop. Okay, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I don't really need to like save that. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to the airport. So I'm going to come in here. Nanaimo Airport. JPEGs, and these are probably already edited. Of course they are. But what I want to do is let's just open up. Can I do this? 2014, 2015. I come in here. Bruce. I need, I wonder here. Here's these two Julios. These are two of my daughters. So let's say we've got this, right? So this is prom last year. My youngest is on the left. My middle one is on the right. And what I've got is one that's function F9 or command F9. So, you know, yes, Justine's a little bit out of focus, but, you know, Riley back there with her snaggle teeth at that cute age. So I just hit command F9. And what it's going to do is it's going to run this action. So you can see I come down and it's going to run it for me. And boom, done. Okay, you see that? Just like that. So if you have actions in your Photoshop that you want to use all the time, you can go ahead and you can do that. Okay, I could come in, let's say, I'm going to open up the CR2 just to show you exactly what kind of happens. I'm not going to change anything. This is my daughter with me at a real estate shoot sitting on the curb. She was a little bored just hanging out, so I told her to look up. So here's my airport. Boom. What it's going to do is it's just going to create it, and you can see what it's done. I like her freckles, but you can see it's just cleaned up the face a little bit, you know, even down in the chin, a little bit of blemish, just like that. So if you have anything in your Photoshop world that you are wanting to have, you know, I could come in here and I could hit Jessica Grad, and I don't know what Jessica Grad looks like, and it could be completely different. There we go. See those eyes now? Brightened up the face. So this was another preset that I had, or action that I had made. So Jessica Grad really, you know, brightened up the skin, made her eyes pop. I mean, she's got beautiful eyes, but made those things just really snap and pop. She's too over artworked for what I feel, but you can see how easy it is. So you just literally come into Photoshop. You know, if you're somebody who exports a bunch of JPEGs and you're going to open them up in Photoshop and that's where you're working and you're like, man, you know what? Gee, I can sure tweak this image a little bit. You're like, hang on, I got one called Jessica Grad. I know that I could sort of hit. So, you know, and again, it doesn't really matter. You know, we could take anything here from images. I think this one would even work. You know, here's my kid at a bouncy castle, Juan Valdez. But you know what? I just hit Jessica Grad and pops up the colors, did a bit to her face, a little bit to her eyes. But you know what? It tweaked it. I could come in and hit airport and I could roll that one too. Doesn't really make any changes. So to show you that you can get through, I'm a big proponent on Perfectly Clear in Lightroom. It absolutely speeds up our workflow immensely, especially when we're doing any sort of staff, portrait, or wedding. We don't do a lot of landscape. We use it for our architecture whenever we're shooting floors or whatnot. If I create a preset, which I haven't, but I do want to play around with it. That's why Thursday's webinar I'm going to dive in on. But, you know, bringing up the beautiful texture in some of the concrete and some of the architecture, real nice detail in the side. But I've used it for the wood floors and for floating solid timber staircases. It's just brought out a real rich shadow and detail. And I've only had to use it on a couple images, but it just brought the nice detail out, something that I didn't have to go to Photoshop to use, and I didn't have to use a bunch of other plugins. So no matter what type of photography you're doing, if you're looking to literally streamline your process and get your time back while still creating a bunch of revenue for yourself, definitely the way to go. So, you know what? I've stretched this out to a full hour. It's been a great show. John, you've been fantastic, sending me lots of questions. If you're a user, thank you so much from Perfectly Clear. If you're not, don't forget, use the promo code Concept Photo or share it with some friends for those people that are struggling with their artwork and processing of some of their photography. I am going to dive out, so thank you so much, everybody, for kicking by and hanging out with me for the last hour.